Good morning everybody, Friday the 20th of November. It's in the afternoon actually, so I can't say good morning because it's 1 o'clock, so good day everybody. A bit late today doing the video. I've been helping my mother's 92-year-old friends fix their dentures. That was fun. So I'm a bit late getting the video done today. So welcome to my channel. If you've not been here before, welcome to Kiss Keto. Sorry, my microphone's playing me up again. Welcome to Kiss Keto. I'm Kath. And this channel is all about my weight loss journey. I've been filming every single week since I started, the good and the bad. And I'm on week 21 this week of keto. And today's topic is just keep ketoing on, which I say very often at the end of my videos every week. Keep ketoing on. Take each day and each week one at a time. Don't overthink things. Don't think about the bigger picture. Just focus on this week. And what I've done this week is I've gone back to basics. 2 weeks ago I fell off the wagon, had a really bad week and a really big gain. Last week got back to it, got back into ketosis, and I had a really big weight loss. I got rid of all the weight, I gained down a bit more as well. I had a fabulous week last week, but now I am back in ketosis. I want to keep that momentum moving forward. So this week, and my advice to anybody who may be having a stall, maybe struggling a little bit, is just go back to do what you know works. So that's what I've done this week. I have gone back to basics. I've focused on what I know works, which is sticking to the keto diet. Absolutely no snacks this week, nothing in between meals. So my first meal of the day has been a very light meal. I've had quite a lot of chicken broth. I've made a homemade chicken soup, which has used the broth when I've cooked chicken for dinner. I've kept the broth off it. I've made it into a soup with cream and other vegetables, and I've had a very light meal for the first meal and then a more of a bigger meal for my second meal. So I've stuck to 2 meals a day. I did mean to photograph every single meal, but I'm usually eating it before I remember to actually take a picture. So I've got some of my meals photographed, and what I'll do is I'm just going to do what I ate this week at the end of the video, and just put you some pictures in and a little bit of description so you can see, get some ideas yourselves for what works. But snacking is a massive thing. If you are dieting, and I know like I talk about macros and keto, although it's low carb, it's still a calorie restrictive diet. If you go onto Carb Manager and you put in your profile and what weight you want to lose and what diet you're following, it gives you a calorie allowance, so it is still calorie restrictive. And the thing about calories is you don't have to use them all up, but a lot of people think, well, I've only had so many, I better have a snack, or I need to have something else. And it's the snacking. The snacking, don't focus on the calories, focus on getting your meeting your allowance and meeting your macros in those 2 meals. Because the snacking is a massive part of your insulin peaking all the time and not allowing your guts to have a rest and use up what you've eaten because you're putting more food in, and it is more of an emotional thing rather than a physical need. So I've not snacked this week. I've had my 2 meals and that's it. I've been really good, and I must say I feel better, and I actually feel like I've broken the habit this week of snacking, because when I fell off the wagon I was eating all the time, but getting back into it, that's like you kind of want to keep doing it. You kind of want, although you're eating the right things, you want to keep snacking. If you can crack snacking and cutting the snacking out, I think that's a massive help to a weight loss and a diet, and you're not continually peaking your insulin, so you're getting these hungers and highs and lows in your blood sugars. So I've gone back to basics and I've cut out the snacking this week, and I've stuck to the meals that I know work. So just keep ketoing on. I've had a few tummy issues this week actually. I just feel like I've got a bit of inflammation or a bit of an ache, and I've just not felt like I've had a lot of energy this week. So I did a cycle on Saturday. I did a 20-mile bike ride with Angela. I didn't take any pictures while we were out. Weather was okay actually, but it did look like it was going to rain. I think we just made it home when it poured down. But I've not really been out jogging. I just haven't felt the energy, and I think you've got to listen to your body. And my target was to get back into the exercise this week, and I think some of it is my head, definitely because of the season and it's dark and it's very wet again today. We've had a bit of wind, but I really feel a bit more energised now. I feel like I'm coming out of it, so I'm really going to focus on the exercise this week. My main focus has been getting back to basics and sticking to do what I know works, and I've done that, except I've not added the exercise in, so I really need to do that. And anybody that's dieting, the exercise makes a big difference. It really does. It helps you burn off your calories. So if you're calorie restricting and you're exercising, you should be losing weight. So that is going to be my next week's target, is just to up the exercise, even if I don't do it every day, but trying to do it more than one day. Like a big splurge on Saturday, we did a 20-mile bike ride, and then nothing for the rest of the week is not the best way to do it. So as I say, I've took photos of my meals, not all of them, but quite a few. So I'm going to put some pictures in at the end. I'll do what I ate today, and you can see, so if you want some ideas, you don't know what to have on keto, you can see the sort of things that I've eaten this week. I've got to give a shout out because, as I've said before, once I start with sweet tooth, I can't stop, and I've been really thinking about baking some cookies, and I stopped myself from doing it because I know it makes 50 in the recipe. And I know if I make 15 cookies, I will eat 15 cookies. I've got all the ingredients in, I could very easily do it. But I was on Facebook and somebody popped up with this bakery that does keto cakes. And I've ordered some and they've arrived today. I just put me having a cup of tea and a millionaire shortbread. Absolutely gorgeous. Actually, I must admit, I think the shortbread was a little bit too sweet. My taste buds have changed quite a lot. A little bit too sweet for me. But I'll show you these. Look at these. These are lemon drizzle and butter, and this is peanut butter brownies. Beautiful. And because the shout out is called Deliciously Guilt Free, they are gorgeous. Millionaire shortbread, I don't think I'd order them again, but they are gorgeous. I've had one of everything. But what I'm going to do is, they're very expensive. So because I've not made them and I've paid a lot of money for them, I ain't going to eat them all at once. I'm going to freeze them individually, and they are freezable, and I'm going to put them in the freezer, and I'm going to have them for Christmas as my treat. So I know now, I've forward planned that rather than going off the wagon at Christmas and rather than baking myself and eating it all, I've got a few treats in the freezer, and I won't overeat on them because I've paid a fortune for them. They're about £10-11 a box plus postage, and you get 8 of each. 8 for £10 or £11, so they're expensive. If you went out to a cake shop, you'd pay more than that just to have a cup of tea and a cake. But it's made me regulate. I'm not going to stuff all that down when I've paid all that much money for it. So I'm going to freeze them. I'm going to have them in the freezer, and at Christmas time, if we have a buffet and I'll do keto friendly stuff, I can have a dessert, I can have a cake, I can warm it up and have a bit of cream on it. So that's why I've got them, but I have obviously had to try them all today. I've had to test them before freezing in case they're not nice, and they are delicious. They are really nice, so shout out to those. My big news this week, I really want to show that I didn't mention it last week because I didn't know how it would go, so I didn't want to say, hey, I'm doing this, and then it'd be a complete failure. But last Friday, was it? Yeah, it was before I made the video actually. Last Friday morning, I went for a blood test. Now, early on in the videos, I mentioned my reasons for doing this were health. I knew last time I went and had a blood test, I was in the diabetic range, and the nurse said to me, you should start your meds now, you need to start on like metformin or something like that. And I really didn't want to do it. I know how bad it is for you, and I said, no, I'll sort it out myself, I'll get my sugars down. And the doctor said to me, whatever you eat normally, cut out the potatoes, the pasta, the rice, and replace them with veg. And when I started researching, that's how I found keto. This was over 12 months ago. And realised that was really the keto diet. And when I started in June, my reasons were to get my blood sugars down. I knew I was due to go back to the doctors, and it had been delayed because of what's going on at the moment. And I just thought, I can't go back. My blood sugars have gone up even more, and I'm even heavier than I was. I need to do something about it. I need to get this, in order. So that's one of my reasons why my blood sugars were really high. I've had high blood pressure since I had Jack 23 years ago. So my blood sugars are in the diabetic range. I've got high blood pressure, and the other illness that I suffer with, other than like my aches and pains and a bit of arthritis, I have something called idiopathic thrombocytopenia purpura, which is you've got 3 things in your blood: your white, your red, and your platelets. and I have very low platelets. Your platelet range in so many millimetres of blood should be between 150 and about 250, and mine were dropping to 100 and then they were going below 100, and the lowest I've been down to is 50, which is quite dangerously low. It's usually where you start having medication, steroids. Slowly it crept up to 100, so the last time I went to the doctors my platelets were on 100. I went to have a blood test last Friday and I said to the nurse, I'm so excited, I cannot wait to get these results because I've been doing keto. I want to know how it's affected, especially my HbA1c, which is, it looks at about 12 weeks of your blood sugars, and over that time, since all the blood that's in your body is can be that old, and it takes a measure of your blood sugar. So I can't wait to see what these are. I'm really excited because I've lost all this weight and I've been doing keto and blah blah blah. And she was dead excited for me, so she said, as soon as you come in I'll ring you. Anyway, she rang me Monday morning and said, I've got your blood test results in. She said, I know how excited you are, and she said, I'm so excited to ring you. She said, I can't tell you what a brilliant turnaround you've done on your thyroid, your liver, your kidneys, your iron, everything is in within the normal range. My platelets, which were really low, and which affects it, even if I cut myself, I bleed. Doing a pinprick for me, blood sugars and ketones, I usually bleed for ages. But when I had surgery on my hand, I had carpal tunnel. I had that done. You have to have blood tests before to see what your platelets are, so they can make amends whilst you're having your surgery. So it's a big thing, having low platelets. If you ever had an accident or anything like that, it's a bit frightening. My platelets are now in the normal range. Now I don't know how there's anything to do with ketosis or not, but they've gone from, last time I went to the doctor they were just slightly over 100 to 207, which is really right bang in the middle of the normal range. So that is brilliant. My blood pressure's come down, but the big one was my blood sugar. So last time I went, I was in the diabetic range, and I said no to medication, I'll sort it out, and I have done. I mean, it's took me a long time to do it, but I finally got to grips with it. And she said my blood sugars have gone from 66, which is in the diabetic range, to 40. She said, you're not even in the pre-diabetic range, you've gone straight back to the normal range. So she was congratulating me, but my blood sugars are now normal. That doesn't mean to say I can go back and eat like I used to, because I know I can't, and you just can't do that because your insulin will not cope with it, and I'll end up back in the diabetic range, that's for sure. But I can eat the way I'm eating, and I can normalise my blood sugars. And what she said to me is, you have massively reduced your risk of lots and lots of diseases, massively reduced your risk. How can you not do the keto diet when the nurse turns around and she wanted to know what I was doing, and she was really, really impressed. So but the long-term goal is for me now to get off some of my blood pressure medication, because my blood pressure is coming down quite low, and that's my goal, to get off everything. But to hear somebody in the medical profession saying you have massively reduced your risk of lots of diseases, congratulations, everything you have now is back in the normal range, is the biggest stamp to this diet that anybody could give me, and given me the motivation to keep going on and keep ketoing on. Health reasons more than anything. It's lovely to lose the weight, it's lovely to get smaller size clothes, but I want to be here for the long term, so it works. I keep saying the science works, and I've just got my endorsement this week to keep doing it, because you do worry, are you doing the right things? I'm not eating carbs, and people say, oh, you need to carb up when you go and exercise, and you must have some potatoes. We know. The blood tests speak for themselves, my blood results speak for themselves. I'm doing the right thing for me, and it's working. And that's the biggest endorsement that I need to carry on now and to motivate me through. And as I said, getting the cakes for Christmas, it's just ways of me dealing with big celebration time, but not going off track, staying in ketosis. My ketones have slowly crept back up this week, so they dropped back down. I just got into ketosis last week. I was measuring them, and they got to 0.5 and 0.6 and 0.7. They're about 1.4 at the moment, so I'm in a good level of ketosis. I am burning fat, and I think dealing with going off plan again, I would definitely not do a binge anymore. It just really is not worth it. And you know, it's the way it makes you feel. There's sort of a side, not just to stuff it on your mouth and that minute of gratification, but the week or 10 days of not feeling quite right, sluggish, finding it hard to get back on the diet. It really isn't worth it. I watch a channel called Keto in the Chaos, Tammy, and she's adorable, absolutely adorable. And she had a really good video out this week, and it was advice and hints and tips to staying on track. And one of the things she says is, if you feel you're going off track, you know, before you even start, what are your reasons for doing it? And I've said this, write your reasons down and go back and look at them. Remind yourself of them if you feel you're going off plan. But the other thing she says is, before you go and have that snack food, in your little notes, have 3 things to do before you go off plan. And it buys you time to think about what you're doing, and then you can say, do I really still want to do that? So a list of 3 things, and like things like have a bath, go and ring a friend and have a chat with a friend on the phone, see if that makes you feel better, or maybe go for a walk. But do these 3 things before you go and put that food in your mouth. And I think that's a great tip for anybody who's struggling or thinking, oh, I just fancy this, I just fancy that. Have a list of 3 things that you've got to make yourself do before you do that, and that'll make you rethink. So weighing this week, I had a great weight loss last week. I just really want to focus on keeping it off and not yo-yoing a little bit. So I put my weight in here. So another pound, and I'm delighted with that. That's great news. So my starting weight was 196 and a quarter. Another pound off this week. My current weight is 151 pounds. So I was like, yeah, I'm in the 50s. I'm only 1 pound in the 50s now, and I'm thinking, shall I see if I can get into the 40s next week? We'll see. My total loss is 45 and a quarter pounds to date, and my goal is 56 pounds. However, 10 stone 11 puts me only 5 pounds over my top BMI. So if I can lose 5 pounds, which was to be in a healthy BMI was my goal for Christmas, 5 pounds off that, if I can do that, I'm then no longer classed as overweight. So that's my next short-term goal, is to focus on those 5 pounds for Christmas. And, you know, 1 pound off this week, I think that's doable if I can keep that momentum up. So I'd really like to be 140, so my end goal, I'm 11 pounds off my end goal, which gives me that 6 pound to play with. But if I can get those 5 pounds off and be in a healthy BMI, that is my short-term goal, because it's all about health more than anything else. So as I say, keep ketoing on. The science works. My blood test results prove that. Little hints and tips, have that list of 3 things if you think you're going off plan, and just focus on just this week, getting through this week and focusing on your diet and your own health. There's nothing's worth more than that. Okay, see you all next week. Bye-bye.